Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Con over coming to you with another episode of Company of Heroes 2 1v1. It does seem that these components have seen each other before, but, we'll see how this goes. Apparently not. Alright, so up here, spawning in the north on the map Crossroads, this is the blue-trunked forces of High 5 playing the Wehrmacht. And in the southwest, playing the Soviet forces, kind of running around for the motherland, this is Kpen97 in the red trunks. You've seen him before on this channel a fair amount of time, but he's been kind of taking a quick bit of a breather. But, yeah, he's back, he's looking for more action, and he's definitely going out on the map right now to see how things go. So, well, naturally, we have the opening movements of this particular fray going out, and apparently there's a lot of questions back and forth about meta. Let's take a quick look at the commanders and see what's going on with that. For High 5, he is bringing along a Mechanized Assault Doctrine with the cheap Assault Grens, Osttruppen with the cheap Osttruppen, and Lightning War Doctrine. Apparently, High 5 and Kpen are discussing non-meta strategies. We'll see how that goes. Not entirely sure if that'll happen or not. Kpen is actually bringing himself a really kind of interesting commander. He's bringing along advanced warfare tactics. It's something you don't see very often. It does give you the radio intercept that you do see of things kind of like the partisan tactics. At the same time, also gives you a very, very good T-3485, the constant repair kits, and as you can see right there, you guys can read. It's pretty obvious right there. He's got mechanized support tactics with the guards, infantry and counterattack with shock troops, as well as that later KV-1. Kpen apparently is throwing out some, not so much salt necessarily, but he's throwing out some hard comments already, making fun of this kind of ultra-long sandbag situation we got going on over here for High 5. Kpen himself, though, doesn't seem to be pushing the map too hard. He's going triple conscript for the combat engineer. And into dual MG42 and a Gren, I mean, that'll be pretty okay. I mean, as long as he can maintain good fields of fire against the machine guns, be in good shape. You're going to see that Kpen is just throwing down two fighting positions randomly in the middle part of the map. Not entirely sure if he's doing it to be a jerk, it's kind of like a goofball kind of thing, or what the deal is. But this will prevent a lot of movement and slow down a lot of the German infantry, at least until vehicles come through and start removing some of those obstructions. Now, unfortunately for the Soviets, this machine gun is now prime position to really be walloping these conscripts. You do see them, one squad already getting suppressed and getting forced to fall back. Another one is gamely hanging in there, hanging behind this stone wall, playing the part of the rebels in the middle of this battlefield here. And not gonna hang too tough for too long. I mean, the machine gun itself, I think, is still in, it's still in range, and it's gonna start throwing salvos down towards those brave Soviet troops. Another Grand Squad does come in. We're gonna see any kind of vehicle, any kind of tech building coming out for Kpen, and no, we don't. Actually, kind of not shocking necessarily. Oh, but no, Kpen like hoists High 5 by his own petard. He bolts over to the cover that was so graciously given to him by High 5's engineering efforts, and forces one squad of Grens into a massive retreat. And unfortunately for him, he in turn is getting killed by the Sturmpyos and that MG42. We're going to see a squad wipe here. No, we're not. It just barely gets away. Another conscript squad does slide forward to kind of maintain that field of fire against the Germans in the area. Well, over here in the east, the Soviets have not yet actually attached their fuel into supply. They're going to be doing that right about now, and forcing back the Germans in the meantime. These grenadiers are going to get caught out in turn, hiding behind these hay bales, playing the whole thing of Farmer Brown over there. Balmers, every single one of them. And north position seems to have kind of stabilized a little bit. Yeah, the Sturmpyos is going to start throwing a couple rounds towards the Soviets, who are just kind of, very, very calmly taking the fire, don't really care. And are we actually finally seeing a tech structure coming out? No, we are not. What are they building? Mines are coming down. So the Soviets are looking to kind of maintain control of their fuel pretty hardcore. Really only looking to deny areas more than anything else. For some reason, the URA comes out. We are going to see these grenadiers back away. And Kpen has a decent control of the map. He is playing a little bit statically, which is kind of uncommon for him. I'm going to see, like I said already, like he said already, very non-meta Wehrmacht coming out right now. A couple of machine guns and grenadier squads as opposed to actually teching up. We are going to see a tech to battle phase 1 happening right about now, actually. but it's been kind of a weird, wonky game so far. It's only 6 minutes in, though, so I mean, hey, not that too crazy just yet, perhaps. Concept is going to get forced away for Kpen, but these 10 guys right here outnumber the German counterparts 5-1, and even though there's a Grenadier squad coming out of the east over here to try to get them in turn, they are going to force away the first Gren squad and do it pretty easily. You know, I kind of wondered how it was that the Grenadiers get out-firepowered by the Soviets. I mean, if you think about it, yes, the SVT-40 as well as the Mosin Nagant was definitely a solid rifle. The Kpen98, I guess it kind of makes sense. The Kpen98 was definitely a relic from previous wars or interwar kind of conflicts. It wasn't the most underwhelming firearms. It just wasn't the most epic one either. AT grenades have been called in, of course, for the Soviets. I'm not sure if the legit ones have been called in as well, the Molotov cocktails. Nope, not just yet. So we still have a little bit more to come with that one. And we are going to see a mortar team coming out for the Soviets. A decent idea. A couple of machine guns on the field, that's generally what you want to do. You got some indirect fire to really be pressuring them from this kind of stacked positions. Unfortunately over here for Kpen, his troops are getting outshot. We are going to see that the Germans taking a fair portion of the field. Not 100% of it, of course, but you know, it's still a decent bit of it. You can see right there as well, the the regular Pyos actually for High 5 have picked themselves up. What model is that again? The Flammenwerfer 35. And they're going to start unloading onto these Soviets into this garrison over here. Luckily for them, oh, never mind, they're going in and out and in and out. They do decide to back away, kind of intelligently there. And we're going to see the High 5 has actually also decided to call in this Leichte Mechanized Company, and therefore a 2-2-2. It's not going to go very well for him, though, and even more so, it's not going to go well for his Grenadier squad. Takes 50% losses from that mine. They might be able to decap. Oh, nope, never mind. Listen, those combat engineers are going to get here just in time. I would be rushing all the way in. Rushing the Russians. Come on, get in there before he takes the point. Rifle grenade goes back the other direction. Oh, and just before High 5 would take out the point, he is forced to retreat. 447 and 500 right about now. The Germans have contested and controlled a good portion of the field. More because Kpen has not been the most active of participants in this particular battle so far. 222 has hit the map, and we're going to see another push again down here to the south between these Grenadiers and another squad of conscripts. Grenadiers are forced in very, very rapid retreat. Surprisingly enough, the Soviet infantry has acquitted themselves rather well. You can see a 2 conscript, 1 machine gun kind of push happen over here to the western side. And as of right now, they'll leave in pretty good stead. Although, there is going to be a decap on the center part of this VP. 437 to 500 right about now. The Soviets are going to be, oh my gosh, dropping the Maxim. Unluckily, the 222 comes forward, takes like 5 shots, and takes the last bit of structural integrity on that particular little bit of a burnt out building. It's a little unfortunate right now. Machine guns for High 5 locking down a good portion of the north. You want to see right here, these fields of fire are brutal beasts. Yeah, it's a little uncommon to see an MG sighted out this far, but think about it, how often is your opponent really going to redeploy that far out into the west? Bunker has been called in for High 5, kind of a standard thing coming out of a tier, I want to call it tier 1A, I guess, for the Wehrmacht, and now High 5 is redeployed to the west with that machine gun, determined not to lose any bit of this area. With this secondary one kind of backed up a little bit more, he still has a pretty good control. Only thing he has to worry about is a little bit of these choke points right about there. And they're not ideal for an attacking player, mostly because it keeps you right into other decent cover for your opponent. So these Pyos are charging forwards, trying to force back these conscripts. But Kpen just simply oogahs away and just backs up again. LMGs are now completed on 1 squad of Grenadiers, as well as is this gun for the Soviets. And right now, Kpen is more than able to support a couple of light arty barrages should he decide to use it. Over here to the west, we are going to see the bit of a matchup between the LMGs and the conscripts, and we are going to obviously see the LMGs have it. And not an uncommon idea right there. And for some reason, Kpen is playing the historically Soviet-style attack. He has also decided to go for counterattack tactics. So he's looking for the KV-1 and the 203 howitzer. Could be very interesting, actually, when you think about it. Shock troops for early kind of very, very aggressive play, if he wants to call those guys in. Definitely a good idea right there. They are rather expensive, though. 390 manpower. Another round coming in, finally hitting that machine gun team. It hasn't done a whole lot to really push them away completely, but it's enough to allow the Soviets to control the center part of the field again. Now, how long is that thing? I can never figure out how many shells come in for the disc gun on that one. Not sure. We have seen, though, in the meantime, that 3 Grenadier squads have been called in a Pack 40 as well, and this is going to be sort of in time, I would say. Where's that mine go down? Oh, the mine's in this little area right over here. So if you see the Germans pushing in over here, kind of an uncommon push if you think about it. Usually the Germans are more concerned about the fuel and this VP right here. But if the Germans walk through there, it's going to be very, very deadly for them. Another artillery barrage being called in immediately. Ooh, uncommon, and are we going to see a drop squad coming down? Yes, we are. First blood goes over to Kpen. He might lose his fuel for that, but that's okay. Let's just see, right now, both these guys have a pretty good attitude about this. This is for fun, after all. Yes, it is great to win, but it's good to see some kind of aggressive but well-meaning competition. Neither player really, like I say, really being that aggressive with their movement. These conscripts are kind of chilling out, looking around to finally flank and maybe pressure these grenadiers into this explosive device. But we will see. Are they going to adjust around to the north? No. Instead they're going to back away. They have decaps, but that's all they really care about right now. 421 to 492. Kpen continues to control the field, and High 5 seems content to let him do so. Well, if you think about it too, I mean, High 5 has now captured the southeast fuel point, so he controls both fuel points on the map, so the longer he stalls that, the better for him. You want to take a look at the mini-map right now, he has called in his support armored corps. And interestingly enough, we're going to see a fighting position being called in, built up rather, by these conscripts. Because an excellent opportunity, an excellent defensive position to really hold down the center VP. Now, up here to the north, what are we going to see? These combat engineers are really not taking that much fire. I mean, they're coming over incidental fire from this 222, and that's a problem right there. But all in all, not too bad. What will need to happen, though, is these squads of grenadiers do need to get picked up, and I think that's why these shock troops have been called in. So, conscripts definitely unloading from a distance, but these shock troops need to get in nice and tight to really maximize the firepower that they bring to the table. Unfortunately for them, that's not going to be the case. These grenadiers are going to back up quite simply. It's kind of, okay, well, you want to charge me? You can charge me over open ground into an LMG. Not a particularly healthy prospect for the Soviets. You can see them right now at the same time. You see these grenadiers getting forced back. Even more so, you see another squad of the Pios in the middle part of the map right here trying to push and take back that center VP. It does not happen, though. We are going to see instead, if you're going to see an Su-76 being called in and starting to loft shots down on the LMG right here, and maybe, just maybe, putting rounds onto that pack. Pack doesn't quite see what's going on either. He unfortunately does not see his Tormentor, but will give High 5 more than enough opportunity to slide to the south and really take the southeastern part of the map, which more or less should not be on this map. It's a fairly easy position to be kept and really dominated by the Soviets, at least for the southeastern player. But oh well. Troops oorahing in, trying to take out this pack gun, making it much easier for this Su-76 to be aggressive. They're going to run right into the base MGs on this map. A little bit unfortunate for them. And maybe, though, if they're able to get out of suppression soon enough, they should be more than easy to take on MG-42. No, they don't. They just retreat right back through it instead. And now with the Panzer IV in the field, there is a slight firepower edge. I say slight, I mean a heck of a lot more than just slight for High 5. he now controls 2 VPs. He's draining it away from Kpen, and on top of that, now he's got that Panzer IV, which can more than easily stand up to, wow, that's a lot of firepower right there. More than stand up to an Su-76 by itself. This gun, maybe not so much. It's a little harder to do that one, but all in all, not too bad. Is that mine still in play? That mine is still in play, the TM-35 mine. The Panzer IV has now charged forwards and discovered there's an awful lot of AT on the field. And if he's unsupported like that, he's going to take a lot more than just a little bit of incidental fire. Alrighty, but where are we in the meantime? That Pak-40 in the center part of the map is going to lock down the center position just as much as that Zis gun is. I think the Zis gun formerly had better cover, maybe not so much anymore. And he decides to kind of just tacitly move away, kind of slide back from what could have been a very, very long and boring duel between the two anti-tank guns. More mines going down over here with some of these shot blockers getting removed by either flames or by, you know, tank rounds or mortar rounds. The mines are going to increase in efficiency. Could be interesting to see. Will we see the Grenadiers pulled through? Probably not just yet. No, instead we're going to see the shot troops dueling with the LMG at a long range. Not a great idea. Also not a good idea to be fighting over top of your own mine. And we do see the Kpen does wisely move away from that one. And another sandbag fighting position going down for the conscripts in the center part of that map. Same time as Su-76, I think, prepares to start lofting rounds at the strategic point, perhaps? It does indeed. So, not the most ideal of ideas, especially with now both... Oh my gosh, we already have a KV-1 on the field. That P4 is now desperately, desperately outclassed. Is he going to tech up at all? He's not teched up yet, just yet to the final tier here. With the KV-1 on the field, that Panzer IV is now completely outdated and going to get walloped. Just you wait. I think those Grenadiers just tried to throw out a Panzerfaust, but it missed. It actually missed short. I've never seen it really happen. Usually, you know, they hit what they aim at. KV-1 in the meantime kind of comes up, announces its presence with a nice round or two, and then backs away. Watch, I would say, high five, pick up another source of AT. Because a Pak-40 and the Panzer IV is not going to be enough. That heavy tank is more than enough to take out most of the German threats on this map. And it does seem that Kpen is more than happy to also just kind of hang back and relax. Kind of bleed high five slowly to death. Not ideal, and maybe not the most kind of exciting thing, but we are going to see high five also pick his particular means of commander, going for that lightning war doctrine. So if he stalls out for long enough, he could call in that Tiger tank. That's be more than enough to take out the KV-1. So it's really a question of who can deploy their heavy vehicle better. Now, I would like to see dual KV-1s or even putting in a howitzer. It'd be kind of fun. Panzerfaust has come in over on this KV-1 and has disabled his engine quite a bit, but not enough to really worry them too much. Grenadier Squad might pay for it as well. There's a very, very strange thing going on right now, is that Kpen is just showing his heels to every bit of German fire on the map. Both the Su-76 and the KV-1 have taken engine damage. The Zis gun's been pushed back. All the conscripts have been pushed back. Would be nice to see perhaps a Molotov cocktail or something like that going out. Instead, we're going to see For the Motherland get popped. Its combat effectiveness, I've heard tell that the combat effectiveness is not the most efficient of use of resources. I don't know exactly the number on that. I should probably take a look at that, to be fair. But we will see, though, we're going to see a mortar duel happening between the PM41s of the Russians and the G43s. No, I always call it the wrong one. I can never think what it is. 34. I always invert it. I always think of the Gewehr as opposed to the actual Granatwerfer. But okay, so the Soviet mortar has not done a whole lot, but neither has the German one necessarily. We will see those. We will see that very, very effective usage of machine gun to pin and then mortars to really loft bad damage on top of the suppressed group. Smoke barrage coming in instead from Kpen, and we're finally seeing, I haven't seen a whole lot of smoke barrages being used mortar-wise. It's really, really refreshing to see that. SU-76 in the meantime is trying to find the mortar and loft some of its own rounds on top of them. Will easily do so, and actually is starting to hit that 222 as well. It just happens to be in the area. Accidental firepower coming in. And it does redeploy though before really getting a lot of effective rounds on target. 390 to 455. SU-76 is only on prioritized vehicles, but we did just see these grenadiers run right smack dab into that TM-35 mine, which is chilling there for quite a bit of time. Is that other one still there? No, it is not. It's been picked up by this other Pioneer squad, I believe. Stroke that's been called in is going to take some fire from the Zisgun, but the Zisgun in turn is going to get roasted and toasted by this Pioneer squad instead. Second KV-1's been called out to the map, and with that, I would say the Germans are in kind of a bad position. The Flamen Pioneers go down. Shock troops in the meantime are going to start duking it out with the Grenadiers. Both squads eventually run away, but the KV-1 throws one last like FU round and takes out half the Grenadier squad in the meantime. So with the Stug on the map and a second KV-1, it is still very much in Kpen's hands. Especially with that Zisgun kind of prowling around looking for some of its own opportunity to cause mayhem and destruction. I'm not thinking about it, what, 3, 6, 7. So if Kpen's willing to have one understrength squad, he actually can call in a third KV-1, and that would be just a crazy kind of base of fire. Mortar team in the meantime does take incidental firepower from the Soviet mortar. It takes out half the squad. The other two guys come in, and it's like, okay, we got this, bro. Don't you worry. Pack 40 in the meantime is going to start lofting rounds at the KV-1. Starts impacting, does a little bit of damage, but not enough to really overly trouble them. And we're just seeing Kpen, it's like a switch just got flipped. He gets suddenly gets very ultra aggressive, sliding around, dipping in and out, throwing a couple of parachute flares out to really be spotting for his indirect fire on this map. And what had been a fairly strong German position in the middle part of the map has now been kind of blown open. These Grenadiers are charging forwards. I'm not sure it's the best idea. They're going to start taking firepower from this KV-1. One member already goes down. Oh my gosh. One more round will do it. No, it doesn't. It does make it away with just a pixel of health. It's P4 and the Stroh kind of chilling over here to the eastern side, knowing that they're currently outgunned by the dual KV-1s and the Su-76. Meanwhile, that 222 is not going to do a whole lot. This guy's way too undergunned. Even with one-star veterancy, he's he's very much an obsolete character in this current battle. We would be kind of interesting to see the Stuka air support is extremely expensive, but maybe what's happening instead, like I said, maybe High Five just kind of holding on for another half of a VP. As usually calls that KV-1 in. Oof, that'd be brutal right there. See one Grenadier squad rushing back over here. My guess they ran over a mine, and what that looks like, it should be like a... From a distance, it kind of looks almost like a bazooka, which doesn't make any sense. More of a modern one at that, though. What is coming down over here? Oh, recon overflight. So we're going to see the 222 try to bring down that recon. Not sure it's going to happen necessarily. We are going to see instead that we're going to see all the positions of the German troops are really in the center part of the map, and there's not a whole lot really other than that on anywhere else on the map. We have one machine gun way up to the north that's been forgotten about, it seems like. And we're going to see the conscripts over here trying to push forwards and really start taking back some of the strategic points. Maybe just picking on this machine gun might be able to do so. Will they take it out? Pixel left, and he's not retreating at all. Yep, he does go down. It may be a good idea maybe if you're Kpen to rush forwards and take that. But it looks instead like he's more concerned about just kind of decapping as much as possible. Close air support now, so the Stukas have come in, and they are just taking out these mortars, picking on them like crazy. Takes out a couple of guys right there. Strafes the Su-76. And, yeah, things have just become decidedly unhealthy in the middle of the map. We are, in fact, I think, going to see that Tiger coming out any second here. Yeah, of course, we're going to be waiting a little bit longer for, what's the term I'm looking for the manpower to come in. He thinks 6:40, so another 15, 20 seconds at the absolute most. Not even, like 10, I guess. The 222, like I said, still continues to be obsolete, just kind of chilling in the backfield, not doing a whole lot. So high five when he brings on that Tiger will be very much in control of the armored game, but the infantry itself, if Kpen can come in and just start throwing AT grenades, it's going to be a lot less healthy for them. Another recon flight does go out. He's looking desperately, trying to find what is going on out there, what is the deal. The 222 already hits, actually, the recon plane a couple of times, kind of weird. You can hear it kind of pinging off the fuselage. The Tiger has come in, and are we going to see? Yes, Kpen, I believe, is actually seeing this now. Yep, he does see that the Tiger is on the map. Probably going to be peeing his pants a little bit here. Ziscon and the Su-76 are throwing rounds at it, but it's a Tiger tank, man. It's like it's going to be like, okay, look, no big deal, I'm fine. KV-1 comes in, and an AT grenade. KV-1 can duel the Tiger pretty well. The front armor for the Tiger sometimes tends to bounce a lot of shots from the KV-1, but the KV-1 in its own right has a fair amount of armor, and neither does the German tank penetrate particularly well. Su-76 rounds, of course, just again and again, being lofted at the center VP, looking to kind of open things up a little bit, maybe pressure back High Five's forces. We are going to see finally that machine gun has been called in a little bit more to really lock down the western part of the map, forcing any Soviets that are going to come in to really move around a very circuitous route. We're going to see a deep dive coming in though. P4 is looking to kind of aggressively move forwards here. Oh no, he's going to come in behind this Su-76. This thing's going to get roasted. AT grenade does go out though. It does ping off. Doesn't do actually the damage he's hoping for. But in its own right, the Su-76 takes a barrage. It's going to be a Panzerfaust. And Stukas are coming in yet again. They have, is it a wounded loader? Is that what that is? I can never remember. Yep, the loader has been wounded by the Stukas. But shockingly, that's the only thing that's happened. So 200 munitions coming down, not to much effect just yet. And that's really the only thing about the close air support, is that you have to have line of sight for it to really be effective. Otherwise, it's just running in circles. Now, it will be interesting to see, will Kpen support all of his squads back up, or will he call in another KV-1 instead? I didn't even notice. Oh my gosh, he's got the Kpen has dove in with one of his KV-1. I guess the more veteran one, the older one. And he dove in to actually just take out the medic bunker from High Five. So I didn't even notice. How did I not notice that? Good gosh. If he was really, really aggressive, he'd be able to actually take out either the Stug or decrew the pack or something like that. So very, very surprising, very, very aggressive play. Something you don't see very much out of most co-players, especially not even the higher levels. They're going to be very cautious about things like that. Concepts are shifting forwards. There's a big posse of them kind of shifting up. And if they get eyes on this mortar crew, they could do a fair amount of damage. And the KV is over here at the same time saying, hey, look, there's more playmates. Takes a round from the Stug, but it's like, who gives a rat's butt at that point? But if the Tiger comes in, yeah, it's a little bit more of an issue for him. Oorang in every which direction. He is still getting drained of VPs right about now, 326 to 398. Su-76 slides a little bit further forwards, trying to get an ability to, what was the term I'm looking for here, to be close enough to actually use his artillery barrage. And High Five, while he's content to kind of sit back, really shouldn't be that blasé about this. I feel like he should really be diving aggressively to take out some of the Soviet armor and really create a much more friendly environment for his own armored vehicles. but instead he's hanging back. And the Strug also over here is going to start firing rounds at this conscript. It's not going to do a whole lot. Instead, we're going to see the conscripts, are they going to get in range to do something before they get picked up by base MGs? Does look like it. Yep, they get the rear armor hit, but does not do enough to really cause that engine damage. A little bit unfortunate there. Ooh, Su-76 though throws around in, takes that Pioneer squad almost down completely with one hit. Are we going to see them die a couple more rounds? Yes, yep, there goes another Pioneer squad. So all that is left is what? One real squad of mainline infantry. And a lot of support squads out in the map. I mean, again, good in their own right, but you can't lose mainline infantry like that. It's a little bit too uncomfortable in the long run. Alright, 30 minutes in though, 317 to 391. The drain has happened again for the Germans. Secondary KV-1 does slide over here trying to pick on these grenadiers. Oh, and it looks like here comes that armor attack I was talking about here. Su-76 and the Zisgun throwing rounds at that Tiger tank, bring it down to half health with just 2 salvos. In the meantime though, Pak-40 does go and pick off one of these KV-1s. That one does get called in immediately. Which is kind of funny when you think about it. A little bit unfortunate for those tank crews, but hey. What has really been gained out of that? Not a whole lot by the Soviets. They did manage to decap one area over here, and that's just all hunky-dory. But losing a KV-1 is not a sustainable economic plan if that's what you're going to do in the long term. And instead we're going to see, like I said, like I've said before, both players take a little bit of a collective break, kind of relaxing a little bit, grabbing a latte, having a shot of vodka to steady the nerves. And it's going to be one of those moments where everybody and their mother just starts to get repaired. TM-35 mine has gone down. Where's it going down? Okay, it's going down right over here. So if infantry gets frisky, if tanks get frisky, and yes, it is a fairly decent MG, being responsive enough that he's able to kind of lock down a big part of the western map. And I'm thinking at this point, really what needs to happen is Kpen should throw away one of his infantry squads and call in another tank. I'm just saying it's a possibility. And frankly, High Five really needs to start calling in the rest of his stuff. If he's going to, utilize his Stuka close air support, he needs to actually make sure he's on site to use it aggressively. We're finally going to see this machine gun's going to get outflanked. Shock troops moving in. More mines have been completed though. And it is starting to become a very, very impossible area for tanks on the eastern side of this map. Oh no, but to the north, P4 does come in, start throwing rounds at the shock troops. Surprisingly enough, the shock troops don't seem to mind all that much, just kind of like yawning and taking the firepower. KV-1 in the meantime is getting forced back, conscripts along with it, getting pushed. But again, we've seen Kpen being massively aggressive for a couple seconds, then backing away. Then being massively aggressive, then backing away. Very much the sleeping Russian bear does get a decap out of the Germans, so now it's a 2-0 cap. Start seeing those tickets start to fly down, I imagine. Stug over here to the east is going to start throwing rounds at these conscripts, but in turn is going to start getting hammered by the Su-76. And Uras coming through, we're going to see an effective AT grenade. Yep, there we go. A very, very big hit happening over here. Main gun destroyed on the Strug. Su-76 is going to charge forward. This would be more than a fair trade. Picks up the Strug. Pak-40 misses. Tiger's coming after the Su-76, I think, but he's going to get there just a little bit too late. And the KV-1 and the Zisgun are going to start getting rounds, I think, on the Tiger tank. Yeah, this Tiger's really going to start to get abused. Stugat's close air support comes in, so we might see some of that actual effective cover fire now. Not entirely sure. And it does force away. It might even decrew that Zisgun. Yes, it does. Zisgun does get decrewed, but that Tiger tank doesn't have much health left. If this KV-1 gets any more aggressive, he should be more than able to take this guy's out. Rear armor hit from the Pak-40 though, and that is going to be the signal for them to back away. It's a good idea right there. 252 to 389. The Germans did manage to take back their own VP as well as the middle one. Not the most stunning of victories. Again, a lot of these victories are very, very minimal. It's kind of a much more of a slow, kind of methodically Pyrrhic victory coming out from both sides. We'll say Kpen is in a much better position as of right now. He just continues to have lots of veterancy, lots of infantry out on the map. This gun is going to hammer the ever-living bejesus out of this P4. I'm not going to suggest it might not be able to pick him up necessarily, but it's doing tons and tons of damage. Another round or two, we're going to see that? No, mortars get smoke grenades off instead. Su-76 comes up behind it though. Pack 40 is here. Who will see death and destruction? And it's going to be the Su-76 going down. Just you wait. Oh no, oh my gosh, the Su-76 picks off the P4 probably before death. But, wait, he's going to get out. What? What? Su-76 makes it out, and another German tank is brewed up without any not even foreseeable, any excellent wins, really, for it. Pgren's out on the field. We're probably going to see a couple of Panzerschrecks being put on these squads once the munitions come into play. And that will give High Five a little bit more staying power in these engagements, not so much with the, what's the term I'm looking for, with the infantry engagements, but at least in the armor ones. And that's a captured MG42. Finally one that was sitting over here for such a long, long time gets picked up. And it's helping Kpen to lock down the center part of this map. 36 minutes in, 238 to 381. Where is all the Soviet armor? Well, the heavy stuff's ready to go. And here's a big push happening over here. We can see about two squads of the conscripts shifting up. And 2 KV-1s. And then kind of like the Soviet Panzerkiel. Putting rounds on this pack gun. This pack gun might get picked up just a second or two. More models going down? No. No. We see one model going down. We see a very, very late heavy Panzer Corps coming out. And the KV-1 is doing exactly what it should be doing. Laying siege to the enemy's base. Now, High Five is in kind of a dire position here. Yes, he's got the Tiga tank out in the field, and the Tiga is going to do very, very well in a straight-up fight. One-on-one. The problem though is it's not going to be a one-on-one. And yep, there goes an infantry squad. Is the Ziscon getting decrewed? That's a little bit unfortunate right there, but oh well. Not a huge deal. Kpen can just kind of sit back and relax. If he loses infantry, all he's got to do is just free up some more pop cap for KV-1s. And like I said, I would love to see just like 3 or 4 KV-1s out in the field. Kpen just doesn't have to be forced into anything. Because frankly, High Five's not forcing it on him. Rounds being lofted at these Panzer Grenadiers. Not seeing the Shreks that I thought I would. They're going to push to the center part of the field, find out that charging into an MG42 is as unhealthy as it is for you as it is for your opponents. And now Max is being called in for Kpen to really just kind of finish up his pop cap. Not entirely sure where that round went, but just kind of disappeared. Yes, it does do some damage over here on that loader, and that's a little bit unfortunate for the KV-1. Should have been able to really take out that pack by himself. But Kpen's just going to be very, very aggressive with that kind of material. He brings the other KV-1 right in, and we're going to see... No, we're not. We're going to see the Soviets get suppressed just on the outer edge of the MG's firing arc. Over here to the north, not going to see a whole lot going on. Just again, just kind of trading territories back and forth. And Kpen, like I said, is just chilling around the center part of this field. He sees absolutely no reason to be aggressive about this. And I can't blame him. Grenadiers, in the meantime, are going to take a lot of firepower. They're charging forwards and really not getting anything to show for it. Soviet mortar still up and running. German mortar still up and running. Unfortunately for the German mortar, though, he is really kind of hanging out in the middle part of his base because he can't be forced out at all. The Soviets just hold the center part of the map, and it's just very, very comfortably held. Maxim over here to the east is to put fire on these retreating pioneers. Not going to take them out, but doing a fair amount of damage nonetheless. Tiger's rushing forwards again, and he's rushing into, looks at the Su-76 and the Ziscon. Yes, he's going to damage those shock troops rather extensively. But all things considered, those shock troops go down. It's one of the least veteran squads on the map, regardless of the fact that they've been there for, conservatively, what, 25 minutes of this game? They got called in really rather early. I do suspect, though, that we're going to see an end to this game pretty soon. I don't know. Just sensing it with my bones. Once again, we're going to see a very, very deep strike coming out of these conscripts. Unfortunately for him, any push over here is going to be met with heavy, heavy death and resistance. And both from Sturmpyos, excuse me, from regular Pyos. I'm going to call them Sturmpyos every single day, all day. They're hanging out over in that northern cemetery, as well as the S minefields that are going to be very, very deadly and almost impossible to break through, since there's absolutely no hazard removal kits on anything Soviet. And that's a problem right there, that is. Both players are just slowly absorbing command points, not doing a whole lot there. I kind of wish that command points after a certain limit actually did something, but, you know, really not a whole lot to be done. Just kind of chilling. I guess I always thought that the 35 limit on it seemed rather arbitrary. It's like, you know what? We have abilities that cost up to 17 commander points. But I think we'll stop counting on 35. Yeah, just because. Now, there is a problem with this situation, is that right now, High 5 is calling himself in a Panther. And once that Panther comes in, it once again gets a little bit more uncomfortable for the Soviets. We are instead, though, going to see a deep, deep dive happening out over here by the KV-1. He's charging in here. He's not going to do a whole lot. Right now, we see the Tiger slowly turn around, trying desperately to get back to save some of its infantry. And it does seem instead it's another dive just to take out this medic bunker, and probably worth the trip, too. Pack's out of position. And it'd be really, really great if you could take out this heavy Panther Corps before the Panther gets in, but he's not going to get a chance to do so. No, sir. Panther's on the field, and now with that Panther on the field, that KV-1's got to book it, or he's going to lose his life. Heavy crush going out. Run away. Run away. KV-1 starts backing away, and we're going to see rotation from the other KV-1 as well. But, like I mentioned to you before, if this one goes down, it's not going to matter because you can immediately call another one right back in. This MG42 in the middle part of the map, though, he's going to take a lot of firepower. He's taking mortar rounds like crazy. That's not the main event. The main event's happening over here. These brave, brave conscripts are rushing forwards and then just kind of backing away, like feinting in, backing out. Feinting in, backing out. Neither player is really in want of any kind of resource on the map. Not so surprising when you think about it. Oh no. The 222 is heavily wounded. We're going to see the 222 go down finally. One round slams into the light scout car. So it's Pac 40. The Pac 40 is firing on that KV-1, but the 222 does go down. And with the 222 going down, that's one of the effective anti-infantry sources on the map really being taken out of play. I am surprised to see that the shock troops have not thrown any grenade whatsoever. They've had an excellent opportunity to really hit something. Very, very difficult to get away with every single one of those squads in less than a second. And these conscripts decide to very, very aggressively play Minesweeper and just charge across the mines, just kind of getting picked up the entire time.
Enemy forces are capturing our supplies.
But I think that this... they disabled enough of these minefields that he could safely cap from right about here. Panther Gunners are attempting the same thing over on the Soviet side of the map. Not really charging effectively necessarily. They get just inside the weapons arc of this Maxim, which will see them forced away. The MG42 coming out is going to be more than enough to see them off the field as well. I still continue to be surprised that there's not a much more aggressive push. You know, I kind of wonder if it might be better just to call in another Panther. Maybe that's what he's waiting on. Maybe that's what High 5 is waiting on. No, instead he's calling in a Panzerwerfer. I don't like this decision. Yes, Panzerwerfer is nice to have the indirect fire, but your mortar is doing exactly the same thing that the Panzerwerfer is going to do. And frankly, the mortar might be better at it right now. And the KV-1 does find that very, very, very annoying MG that's been sitting there just lofting salvos half the game. And if this guy goes down, this could be a minor win, but a win nonetheless. Yep, there he goes. 2 stars of veterancy lost. That sucks. Grenz, in the meantime, moving towards the center part of the field and realize, hey, we are slightly outnumbered, guys. And finally, some of these Panzer Grenz get themselves Shreks. See other Shreks coming out? No, we don't. Not just yet. Can't afford them. Shock troops shifting up, but into a, into a Tiger. That's not the most healthy of decisions. I say not the most healthy. I mean, absolutely not at all. Bad, stinking idea. And shockingly, it gets 7 kills. Panzer never does that well. At least it never does for me. I don't know why the heck it's helping this guy out so much. Tiger tank in the meantime, as well, these shock troops just takes out the shock troops, opens up a lot more supply. Call in the KV-1. Call in the KV-1. There we go. 3rd KV-1 coming in. Thank you for listening to me. And with that 3rd KV-1, he can just start playing like, not chicken. He can play attritional warfare at this point. Is this going to get picked up? Unsurprisingly. But if the Germans are unlucky, he is losing a lot of his infantry right about now. And that Tiger is starting to get closed in on, taking fire from all 3 KV-1s. The question is, where's that Panther? The Panther's back in base, not doing a whole lot, just kind of chilling there. Oh my gosh, but the KV-1 started bouncing rounds at the rear armor on that Tiger tank. My gosh, what is going on here? This should not be happening at all. More rounds getting pinged off, and we're going to see one of these KV-1s lose its main gun.
One of our machine guns has been silenced.
It seems that Kpen might finally be tired of just kind of playing this attritional warfare. I don't know. Which machine gun did he lose, though? Which one was that? He lost the Maxim. Not a big deal there. Okay, big deal. Yeah. I kind of wonder if it should be like a base dive at this point, that everyone should just... Uh-oh, where's it coming in? Yep, middle part of the field.
The enemy has 75 points remaining. You appear suited for command.
Wondering if maybe what should happen is these KV-1 should just get repaired, and then should be a base dive. If literally nothing else, Kpen could just play for time. See, right now, he's got 2 very heavily damaged and 1 moderately damaged KV-1, but the enemy has a engine damaged Panther, a Tiger that's at 40%. I mean, it kind of screams, please, kill them now, kill them now. But I suppose it's better to be a little bit more cautious about things. The last thing you really want to do is get to through a 40-minute, 50-minute game, be up, 5 times the amount of your opponent in terms of tickets, and then dropping it because you were a little bit goofballed. Another sandbag fighting position gets made up over here. Not a huge thing to write home about. Big deal. And it looks like this other KV-1 is finally back in play. It got himself a brand new coat of paint, and not that bad. This KV-1 in the meantime, though, still is without a main gun, and that's a problem, that is. A little bit less of a problem is these Panzer Grenz shifting forward with these double Shreks, trying to get line of sight on some of the enemy over here. Yep, do get some rounds off on the Su-76. Might even get 1 more salvo. I'm not so sure about that. And instead, the slightly wounded KV-1 does move forwards, and with the death of this particular squad, there is little to no AT left on the map. Conscripts will rush forward to pick up the Panzer Shrek of their own. Try firing at the enemy, going back as he retreats back into base. But it does not successfully connect. Alright, but there's another one now has been completely remade, and I feel like I heard more rockets coming in, but I guess not just yet. Nope, there we go. There are those rockets. But I had the Panzerwerfer, and I was like, something bad is going to happen. KV-1's getting repaired, and I do believe that'll be pretty much the end of the game. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit, just to kind of get the KV-1 back in play a little bit quicker here. Yada, yada, yada. There we go. Tiger tank is shifting forward slightly, not so much. These conscripts are going to start taking on Grenadier Squad to the south. Now, with the support of these, of the KV-1, yeah, not a whole lot that can really be done here. KV-1s are starting to throw rounds into the Tiger tank yet again. This guy has just been able to just deflect everything thrown at him. Unfortunately, for High 5, is while he's got a good usage of the Stuka close air support, his Tiger tank was not focused on the correct source of the correct enemy resources. Instead, focusing on the machine gun 3 feet in front of him instead of actually shooting. That's something a little bit more, you know, threatening. That mine, I thought that was going to be completely useless, is not at all. Instead, takes out half the squad, and then another round comes in from the KV-1 and takes out the other half, leaving High 5 with just one squad of mainline infantry, one sorely abused tank, one less sorely abused tank, and a couple of squads of pioneers. Now, if this infantry does go down, not quite yet. Gonna come up pretty soon though. Good gosh, this guy's pretty much dead right now. Couple last rounds being thrown in. Yep, there goes the infantry, and High 5 has 65 armor supply, but so much that's tied up in ultra late tier tanks and the like. So you can hear right there, we had another volley of rockets thrown down, but not really a whole lot coming out of it. And instead, now what we should see the massive charge of all these tanks. Floating 800 fuel right now, 300 fuel for High 5. He should be making tanks like crazy. Even just Stugs, something, gotta be anything out there should be better than just having nothing. We're going to see this Panther just ducking, dipping and diving back and forth, trying to stay out of the line of fire. Does not successfully do so, though. Drops to about 20% health. And I'm kind of wondering, are we going to see... Yep, there's another tank coming in. Okay, Kpen, you have to finish it now, my friend. Charge. Charge. I plead with you. For the love of Bob, do so. Mortar, medic bunkers rather wounded, so the heavy panzer corps. So it may even be, if there's like a frustration dive into the enemy base, that could be kind of fun. Then you see instead we're going to see a couple of rear armor hits happening right about now. KV-1 diving in, trying to get line of sight on the Tiger. Does get line of sight, but not going to be enough necessarily to take him out. Instead he gets forced back by the superior armament of his opponent. Yikes. Damaged engine comes through on the Tiger tank. That Panther tank is backing away. Definitely a little bit nervous itself. KV-1 is trying to get in and behind Tiger tank. The Su-76 is penetrating. Guys, with one more hit, there goes the Tiger tank. He's been decrewed, so if infantry actually gets into it, it could find itself a very, very effective gun emplacement for about a shot. And then it's going to get picked off. Instead, what we're going to see is the Panther backs away, and there's no death over here on the Russian side. Again, these tanks are just ridiculously, ridiculously durable. This KV-1 might go down, though. Fresh Tiger tank coming to the fray. He goes down, but there is still another KV-1 getting called in immediately. I mean, why the heck not? Super, super easy, right? Kind of funny for me to actually see the conscripts dive into this. Yep, they dove into the Tiger tank, and now... Okay, to say. If he had successfully stolen that Tiger tank, it would have been pretty darn funny for me. But no, instead we just see 3 conscripts buying it for absolutely no reason. Hey, but at least the Germans don't get to use it, right? So it does look like this is going to be a Soviet victory coming out over here. Mortars rushing forward, trying to cap. Not sure why they're doing that. 54 minutes in, yep, and it seems like Kpen has successfully stalled out and taken the field away from High 5's Wehrmacht forces. Kind of wondering why we're not seeing more aggression coming out over here. Heavy Panzer Corps looks awful, gets destroyed, and with that going down, High 5 really has no way to really hang with this late tier Soviet armor. Speed this up a little bit. I imagine it's going to be a tap out or something. It's got to be something soon. And the brothers KV-1 slide forward, start taking out support weapons. So there's no more threat coming from there. This Panther tank decides to go for a charge of the light brigade kind of attack here.
10 points remaining.
SU-76 though says, ha, I don't care about that, bro. And doesn't do a whole lot. Misses a couple of rounds, unfortunately, for him. And takes out with the last round. And that might be one of the last rounds of this game. We're going to see a tap out. We're going to see everything just go down. Yep, well played indeed. High five surrenders. Kpen wishes his opponent a good game. And yeah, we end the game with a very, very cinematic opportunity right here. See the brave pioneers repairing under fire as their last heavy tank is going to get walloped in about 5 seconds. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This was definitely an interesting game to cast from nothing else. A long one, but you know what? Long ones can tend to be pretty good. If you have a game you want me to check out, please let me know at conorgaming@gmail.com. If you want to hit me up and play as well. I can't guarantee I'm as good as these guys. Maybe I'm a little bit better. I'm not really sure. You can find me as well, the same name, over on Steam. So that's going to be it for me in this particular video. You guys all have a great day. I know I will, and I'll see you all soon. This is Conor signing off. Take it easy.